Okay, so we're here with Blaine Perry. You might have seen him featured in our Imperial Mon versus Ceresmon match before. He's also appeared on True Champion Steven's stream. So he's going to go through his Ceresmon list that he played with, and this is now updated to the April 1st ban list. So he's going to talk about what he was playing and how it's changed for the ban list. So, on you go, Blaine.
Alright guys, so I'll start off going through on the rookies. From the ban list, I've not changed any rookies in it. Well, ban or restriction, whichever one you want to go with. So you've got the two Terriermons. I run two Terriermons simply because it helps out in so many matchups. Helps versus red that makes use of the Biomon that destroys on their turn. Helps against blue and Rookie Rush with the Hammer Sparks or Vulcan's Hammer, whichever one you want to call that. Am I missing anything?
Gomamon in
Yellow.
blue as well.
Yellow with the Patamons. So pretty much like running two Terriermon, I think's just too good not to run. Then you've got your Goblimon, which is your 2-drop to help memory starve your opponent in certain situations. If you haven't got an optimal play and you're at 1, there's nothing better than just sticking a Goblimon out to start going wide on your board. The same for the Auroramon. I only run 2 Auroramon purely because it does cost 2 to Evo, which isn't always bad. I've had plenty of games where I've only opened an Auroramon and evolved and still took the game. But I wouldn't want to open on it consistently, so that's why I run it at 2. It's also really good with the Argomon if you do get that to throw out as the rested Digimon, because Auroramon trades with so many champions. Or even if you do have to evolve Auroramon onto a Minimon, you then get a 6k swing if you're attacking your opponent's Digimon. So it doesn't just trade with champions at that point, it does kill or trades with a blocker. Then you've got your Agumons, which is what my deck for green pretty much revolves around, is building up your DP power and running over the Digimon, as you'll see as we go through. So Agumon gives you that plus 1k there. Argomon's just another 2-drop 3k vanilla, same as Goblimon. It's just for memory starve and helps draw the consistency of the rookies. Terriermon I run as a not Terriermon, sorry. Tentamon is another 2 of, which is when attacking, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon with 3k DP or less. Tentamon can really help you out if you get into your champions, ultimates, megas in like Rookie Rush matchups and they start throwing out the lower cost stuff just to go wide and pressure. Tentamon means then that when you swing in with Summit, you can then rest one of theirs and clear that board and stop the pressure. And that's it for the rookies. We now go into the champions. We've got Kabuterimon, which is a 4 of, which is your turn. This Digimon gets 1k DP for every suspended Digimon on your opponent has. And I'll run through Gargamon at the same time here because they are both the same, except Gargamon is 4k DP and Kabuterimon's 5k. Gargamon's a 5-drop, Kabuterimon's a 6-drop. I run 4 of the Kabuterimon just because he's protected from Volcanic Dramon, and then 3 of the Gargamon because you do risk getting popped by a Volcanic Dramon. But yeah, they just stack your DP up again. So once you've got Agumon and a Kabuterimon or a Gargamon, before you know it, you're racking the DP powers up as you go up the chains. Woodmon is a 4 of, he's a blocker. If you're not running 4 of a blocker in most decks, you're probably going to have a bad time. So I won't go too much into them. Togemon is a 2 of, and I'm not going to lie, I think he's the MVP of the deck. I'm tempted to try and find a space for a 3rd, because he is, when Digivolving, reveal 3 cards from the top of your deck, add 1 level 5 or higher Digimon card among them to your hand, place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. And there has been so many games where I've been missing my ult or I've been missing my mega and I've gone into Togemon and he's just got it for you, you know. Gets you that Ceresmon, the Mega Gargamon, the Argomon. Do you run Togemons, Bradley?
Yeah, I do. I run 2
Yeah.
currently. I think I will be increasing it after April 1st just because, just turboing through into your 5s would be really helpful.
I'm sure you'll agree there's probably been them situations there where you're clutching on Togemon and he's pulled it off for you.
Oh, multiple times. there's been ones where I'm digging not even just for the 5, but you need like the Mega Gargamon just to survive that one extra turn, and
Yeah, and
you managed to find it.
it doesn't sound like a lot looking at 3, but it is. And I suppose when you put into the perspective as well as you evolve, so you get your draw 1, and then you look at the top 3. At that point, Togemon's giving you a +2, and a +2 in this game is really powerful. So for 2 memory, I'd definitely say if you want to up him to 3, I wouldn't tell anyone that they're wrong on that aspect.
Yeah, I think especially with now that your Argomon level 5's gone, I think having that filter for 3 cards can be really impactful, especially because there is a lot of time because you've got a lot of utility up at the level 6s with your Bancho and your Mega Gargamon. Just skipping 3 cards, it means you don't have to draw through them. I think that's just really good for the deck.
That's it, to be fair. I've had times Togemon's whiffed, and then the next thing I've evolved into has been what I wanted anyway. And it's just Togemon's filtered through them bits of jank that you just don't need anymore. It is upsetting though when you flip a Togemon and there's all your Megas there. I'm not gonna lie, that is a hard life choice. Up next, though, we go to the first of the limited cards, which is Argomon, which is Digijobson -3. So you rest a Digimon, you evolve into him for free. And then his inheritable, which is 99% of the reason he's been limited to 1, is when attacking, you may play 1 level 3 green Digimon from your hand, suspended without paying its memory cost. Now, on paper, doesn't sound too terrible, but then when you start doing the math and go, I get 2 or 3 Argomon out, I'm clearing my opponent's board, and then I'm throwing out rookies in rested mode. It means that very fast you go very wide, and you're bringing your opponent into a tunnel, and it just gets out of control for your opponent too quick, and there's really not a lot they can do to answer, especially when you're throwing stuff like Auroromon out that's a 5k. It escapes from things like Lightning Paw, Volcanic Dramon, and there's just not an answer your opponent can give at that point, which is why it's been limited to 1. I understand why it's been limited to 1. It's not that much of a threat, in my opinion, in our set 3, but then when you start going into set 4 and set 5, it is really bad for game design. And that's the reason they've cut it now. Because obviously they've seen how the meta goes in Japan, which I think is really good of Bandai to be on it so quick, to be fair. So the next is Blossomon, which is one of the few changes in the deck. I've now upped this to 4. Beforehand, I was running 4 Argomon, 3 Blossomon, but you do need to replace that Digisorption. Blossomon's still really good. In some aspects, you end up playing Blossomon before it anyway, a bit more than you would an Argomon, because you need to rest your only active thing to evolve into to get that early ramp out. And a Blossomon might be a better move at that point anyway, just because of the 7,000 DP over the 6,000, because there is still a lot that could crash into a 6,000 that's at the champion level, like a Turbo Gorillamon or Dark Tyrannomon. That doesn't feel like a bad trade-off early on in a lot of aspects. So having the Blossomon that puts you at the 7 just gives you that safety net to rest it. Up next is another ratio I've changed since the restriction list, which is Rapidmon. I've upped that to 4 now, just because for a 2-cost ultimate, his inheritable is really strong, which is your turn, this card gets 1000 DP for each of your opponent's suspended Digimon. So again, you tag a Rapidmon onto a Kabuterimon or a Gargamon, and then the Agumon, and before you know it, even if your opponent's only got 1 rested Digimon, you are then plussing 3000 DP on your Mega Return, which allows a Ceresmon to trade off with an Omnimon. And yeah, well, what's not better than trading a level 6 for a level 7 that might have 2 attacks on you? Up next, we have BanchoStingmon, and I know a lot of people run this as a 1 of, but I run it as a 2 of because I just like to see it. It wins the mirror, it wins the Omni matchup, it wins the Imperiodramon matchup. Is Imperiodramon 12k?
Yeah,
Isn't
it's
it? Yeah. So it wins the Imperiodramon matchup. Yeah, Well, that's how I bopped the Imperial Drum on.
And if you manage to get Ragnarlordmon suspended, also
Yeah,
beats over that.
yeah. Bancho just beats so many decks this meta. So running 2 of them, and when a lot of people think most of the decks only run 1 of them, they start evolving in stuff thinking, oh yeah, it'll be safe. What are the odds they've got it? Or what are the odds that they're going to get it this early on? And you just run it over. And Bancho wins the games. For the people who don't know what Bancho does, he's piercing and he gets security attack +2 and a 7k DP power increase for any 12ks he attacks into. So he very quickly becomes the safest swing you can physically make in the game unless you hit a Gaia Force or anything like that that's going to remove him. Especially again when you tag him onto a Argomon and your Gargamon and your Rapidmon. He's a 19k swing at that point at a minimum. And I will also highlight for a lot of people that don't think about it, Bancho also helps you win the Rookie Rush matchup. Especially if you've evolved with the Kabu and stuff like that and make him an 11, 12k swinger because he still does the piercing, which means you can be board control and security pressuring at the same time. And the only thing that can really answer him at that point is the 6-drop option card that will return him to hand, or if they lock him with a Puppetmon. But at that point, you force the opponent to give you a reasonable amount of memory just to deal with your 9k piercer. Up next, we have Mega Gargamon. I was running this as a 3 of before the restriction. Mega Gargamon, if you can't see it, I've noticed there's a bit of glare. And I've lowered it to a 2 now, purely because he's a 4 cost to evolve. So with hidden potential being at 1, I don't want to see him as much as I did, but I still want the utility of Mega Gargamon there. Because if people don't know what he does, it's when Digivolving suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. It doesn't unsuspend during your opponent's next unsuspend phase, so it allows you to lock stuff. Similar to Puppetmon, but he only targets one Digimon. He can still target a Digimon that is suspended as well. And then on your turn, whilst your Digimon has your opponent has a suspended Digimon in play, you get security attack +1. So he's a way of locking a threatening attack that could happen to you next turn, or he's a way of just locking something to then get the security pressure next turn. He's not a bad utility card in the Rookie Rush matchup. He can buy you a turn, save your life, and start security pressuring similar to Bancho if you keep locking stuff and swinging for security +1 and you get him out early enough. I don't think he's a bad play at 4 either. But I don't want to have to evolve into him too many times and give my opponent too much memory. Hence why I've lowered him to 2. He feels a lot better when you play him out for 3 off a hidden potential.
Yeah, I've got him at 2. I think that's the correct number. But I found myself that's my biggest answer to Puppetmon, because obviously you're suspending a lot of your things, so Puppetmon can be really impactful against green.
You end up playing the trade game, don't you? They go Puppet, you go Gaga. They go Puppet, you go Gaga.
Yeah, and that allows you to stall out the one turn they've stalled, and they don't get the memory off of Puppetmon either, which is also good.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's definitely a good utility card in stuff like Rookie Rush where they do utilize Puppetmon as well, because you feel a lot better as well. Because whilst they're giving you 6, 7 memory a turn because they're lobbing a Puppetmon out, you're giving them like half, if not putting them at 1 or 2 by doing that and then making other plays. It just depends how many Puppetmons they answer with. I've ended up in one of them games where my opponents had 3, 4 Puppetmons, and it's been like, okay, you win. Up next is one of the biggest changes since the restriction. I put 2 of the level 6 Argomons in. I don't know if I love him or not. He's won me a few games in testing. I've mainly put him in to replace the lack of download or Digisorption that's faded out since Argomon going. He can still be a game winner, similar to Bancho, in that his Digisorption free, so he costs 2 to play him out. And then for each of your suspended Digimon, he gets security attack +1. So if you're doing a big download turn and then swinging in, you can easily take 3, 4, 5 security off your opponent in a turn. So he does fit the deck's control method of you could just keep controlling your opponent's board, whittling their stuff down, getting rid of it, and then going for that big game-winning turn with an Argomon.
Yeah, and if you've got a 5 if you've got the Argomon 5 underneath them, that's popping out one more level 3
Yeah,
suspended. It's another security attack.
yeah, that gives you the extra security attack. He's also another target to use Ceresmon's ability, which is the main reason I've upped that download count using the Argomons. And I've gone with the Argomons over the champion Argomon, just because I'm sure you'll agree, Bradley, that the champion Argomon just doesn't feel good.
No, with the champions, I feel like I'm needing to either go cheap or achieve something. So the Caboterimon and the Gargamons are both cheap. The Woodmon and the Togomon are both achieving something. I don't think the level 4 Argamon's doing enough.
Yeah, because obviously it doesn't work in the raising area either. So, and I've gone off the logic of if I've got a champion in hand at the start of the game and a Digimon in the raising area, I would rather have a Woodmon, a Gargamon, or a Kabuterimon. I don't want to be paying 2 for a downloader because, like you said, it's a waste at that point. I want to be putting something with an inheritable on or something that's going to save my security versus just playing something that could download to evolve just to get the draw. So I don't agree with the champion downloader for anyone out there. I'll fight you. What? Up next is Ceresmon, which is Digisorption 3. And then your turn, once per turn, when suspending Digimon from a Digisorption skill, you may suspend your opponent's Digimon instead. So again, it's also not a bad play to have the Ceresmon. If you've got an ultimate out, you can Digisorb into your Argomon, you can rest your opponent's threat, you can swing the Ceresmon into your opponent's threat, have the Ceresmon rested, and then swing Argomon in and at least gain the security attack +1 off that. So you're dealing with a threat and then you're applying pressure to your opponent, and it means they've got a fair bit to deal with at that point. Obviously, Ceresmon also triggers off your Blossomon and your Argomons. So you've got plenty there, which is why I don't run Puppetmons in the deck either. Because if you then count out from the Ceresmon downloads, you effectively have 3, 5, 9. You have 10 things, 12 with the Mega Gargamons in your deck that can rest your opponent's Digimon. So I don't really see a need for Flower Cannons or Puppetmons because I think you've got enough of the deck mechanics that rest to do that job for you. Up next is another change I made after losing the Argomons, which is to Mimi, which I didn't think I'd be keeping in the deck, but then from testing the amount of use I've actually had off Mimi, I think it's too good to pass up. I was mainly trialing the Mimis as a replacement to the Argomon ability, just to feed out my board faster, which for people who don't know, Mimi sets your memory to 3 each turn. And if you have a level 5 or higher green Digimon in play, you can suspend the Tamer to hatch 1 Digi-Egg card, or you can move a level 3 or higher from your breeding area to the battle area. So it does replace the loss of spitting out rookies with Argomon. You can now just spit out more eggs and get that board presence up faster. And it has actually come in crucial a lot of games. If you get it early in hand, just play it out, or if it hits out security, that feels even better. And I got a lot more benefit off the memory than I thought I would as well. Just because losing hidden potential means that playing out the Mega Gargamon, if you've got the Mimi out, doesn't feel as bad still, because if you've got the ult there, you can easily just go Mega Gargamon, rest your opponent's thing, and then starve them at 1 memory. And it doesn't feel too bad as a play. You've locked Summit, you've got a security attack +1, or you're getting rid of that threat next turn, and you've starved your opponent. Up next, final card in the 50 is Hidden Potential Discovered. I'm sure everyone knows what this does, but the next time one of your green Digimon Digivolve this turn, you may suspend one of your Digimon to reduce the memory cost of the Digivolution by 5. So ideally, hidden potential, you're wanting to use it on a Ceresmon or a Mega Gargamon. It still doesn't feel too bad if you're doing it on a Bancho or anything like that. Its security effect as well is add this card to your hand. So at least with it being limited to 1, if you see it in security, you're not going to lose sleep because it's still coming to your hand and you're still going to get that 1 value off it. It's just not something you can count on seeing every game now with it being limited to 1, but it's still too good not to have as the one of in the deck. And finally, we go to the eggs. I run 3 Minimon. I know a lot of people prefer running a higher concentration of Argomon versus Minimon. But again, this is another card in a lot of games that's won me the game state because it's when attacking. If you attack one of your opponent's Digimon, this Digimon gets 1000 DP for the turn. So again, I'll run through the stack: Minimon, Argomon, Kabuterimon, Rapidmon. You're getting a 4k boost at a minimum there, which puts a Ceresmon on a 16k, so it kills the Omnimon. And you've still got your Ceresmon on board. You've not had to trade. It puts Mega Gargamon at a 15 minimum, so that means that is a trade at that point, but it still doesn't feel bad taking that threat away. And then the 2 Argomon are nice just to stop yourself getting starved at 1. It works well with the download concept because when your Digimon restands during your unsuspend phase, you gain a memory. If you've got Mimi out and you get the Argomons going off as well and your opponent can't answer it, you do run away with the game very quick though because you're gaining so much memory. But I don't think having a lot of memory in this deck is crucial because you've got so much that's cheap. You've got 7 1-cost champions. You've got 5 ultimates that are free to evolve out of. You've got 5 megas that only cost 2 to evolve into. Your deck's so cheap that even if your opponent is putting you on 1s and 2s, you can still make 2 or 3 plays a turn and just go, okay, cool, I'm going to do this. What are you going to do? And then, yeah, that is the deck in a nutshell for anyone that was wondering before. Restricted, though, I did run 4 Argomon, 3 hidden potential, 4 Ceresmon, and 3 Mega Gargamon. I explained the Mega Gargamon drop. The Ceresmon drop is just because I wanted to go more versatile with the Megas and be in more toolboxy situations where I can answer and respond how I feel. And then obviously the hidden potentials pretty much got replaced by the Mimis, and the Argomons got replaced by Blossomon going up 1 and the Rapidmons going up, and the Argomons fading in.
Well, thanks for that. I think it's given me something to think about because I've not. I tried the Argomon level 6 originally, ended up dropping them, but you've made quite a compelling argument.
It is just good for them sneaky swings. If you've got enough rested and an ultimate out and you can go into it and you're swinging undisturbed. You do need the chain though. I will say that you do need the Cabus and stuff like that on him to get the value. Otherwise, you're going to swing in at 11 and odds are your opponent's just going to kill you in security.
Yeah, well, we've got the next tournaments coming up on Monday and Tuesday, so I'll probably be playing green. I'm assuming you'll be playing green as well, and we can see how we get on. Yeah, so thanks, Blaine, and looking forward to your future gameplay we get to see.
Aye. Thanks for having me.
Shh, not a zombie channel.